these new perceptions, these beliefs or truths into our mind in the state of deep relaxation. So we can learn to do relaxation, let all of the body and the mind relax deeply, and then begin to focus on these truths and repeat them in our mind or visualize them as images. Visualize ourselves experiencing these truths in our daily lives, and perhaps more specifically in situations where previously we lost our sense of self-worth and we felt rejection or guilt or fear or hurt or anger, and that we are able to maintain our sense of love for ourselves and, of course, equally important, our sense of love for the others. We can do the same process verbally by speaking to the mirror. I deserve and love and respect as I am, or we can speak to the mirror saying, you deserve love and respect as you are, and repeat this a number of times and say anything else which is important to us to say to ourselves. It's good to have a conversation with ourselves occasionally, express our love to ourselves and our concerns and our needs, and perhaps ask help from ourselves. It's an interesting method, speaking to a mirror. Now, probably most of you know EFT or TAT or WHEE or BSFF or many number of these new methods. And there are ways to do tapping in which we can internalize positive thoughts. We don't have to tap only on the negatives, for example. Um, Even though I reject myself when my mother criticizes me, I love and accept myself. There is the choices method. And the choice method says, even though until now I have felt unworthy and demeaned when my mother criticizes me, my spouse looks at other men or women, I fail at some effort, I speak harshly to my children. You choose one, or you choose anything. You don't have to be of these, whatever is obstructing you. You say, even though until now I have felt unworthy and demeaned when, then I now choose to remember that as an expression of divine consciousness in the process of evolution, I'm always worthy of love and respect. And you can choose any of the above phrases or any other phrase that you may think of. And this is the setup phrase for the EFT with choices. And what we have here then, we have the divine consciousness as the reminder phrase that we're going to use when we tap. But it could be anything. But it should be short, 3 to 5 words at the most. So you can have a long explanation for your setup phrase. I choose to remember that as an expression of divine consciousness. But you would always need a short phrase for the tapping process. And then what do? You go through the tapping process, and if you don't know about this, then go to our site or go to the YouTube or any other site and learn EFT. I've got a video there which is about 20 sections or 17 sections on YouTube, and you can learn to do EFT. And I think it also mentions the choices. Maybe not, but I'm not sure. So you do the first round tapping on the negative emotion, which is self-rejection or guilt or fear or shame. And then the second round, you repeat the positive phrase at each point that you tap. At the top of the head, at the eyebrows, the side of the eyes. At each point that you tap about 7 to 10 times, you're now repeating the positive phrase. Not the whole thing, the short phrase that connects you to that, worthy of love and respect or divine consciousness. And then in the third round, you alternate. So at the top of the head, you say your negative phrase, and then at the eyebrows, you're positive, and then the negative at the side of the eyes, and the positive at the cheeks. And in this way, you go through all the tapping points, alternating between the negative, feeling guilt, self-rejection, whatever it may be, to I'm divine consciousness or worthy of love and respect, or I accept myself as I am. And this connects these two concepts. What you're doing here is you're changing an association so that every time the negative perception comes to your mind, you've connected that by this tapping process to the positive. So it's one round with the negative, second round with the positive phrase, and third round with the alternative each point. The WHEE, the holistic hybrid of EFT and EMDR, does it slightly differently, but it's the same concept. Now, in energy psychology, there is the concept of the tabletop. So we may have this tabletop of self-doubt, okay, which is created by hundreds of experiences underneath. These are all the legs of the table. So in order to change the self-doubt, which has been created by hundreds of experiences of the past, we need to remember some of them at least, about 10% of them perhaps, and do the tapping on those experiences of the past that created the self-doubt. And what about 10% of those, if there's 100, if we do it on 10 of them, the whole table falls down because we've removed enough legs that this whole perception of self-doubt is removed. So you may need to work on the past, not just on the feeling of self-doubt today, but all of those childhood, not all of them, but many of those childhood experiences, or even from a few years ago, that may support the tabletop of self-doubt. We may do a seminar separately on these energy psychology techniques. Now, there's another method that you can use. It's called hemisphere balancing, in which you cross your feet and your hands in a specific way that you can see here by my friend Sophia. And you focus, when you're in this position, with the legs crossed and the hands crossed in a special way, you focus on the truth that you want to install. You repeat it over and over peacefully, feeling that it's true. You don't repeat it in a way that you're trying to convince somebody. You're simply stating the truth, that you are worthy of love and respect as you are. You're not convincing anyone. You're just experiencing the truth. Now, it's more complicated than this, but I'm just giving you the basic idea. Then you bring to your mind some images and scenes in which you see yourself experiencing that fact. That may be in pleasant scenes such as nature or the sea, or maybe in scenes in which you in the past felt self-rejection or guilt, and you see yourself in the scene feeling good about yourself and good about others. And then you begin to focus on the feeling of this inner worth, and you allow that to flow throughout the body and mind, and enjoy that feeling, the feeling of inner worth within you. And this situation, the legs and the hands, causes a balancing between the two hemispheres of the brain, allowing this perception to be more easily accepted. We can do regressions to the inner child, to the past, or in some cases perhaps even to past lives, but the inner child is the most important thing here. And we relive the past with the truth. As we go to an experience in which we felt rejection or pain or fear or abandonment, whatever it may be, and we go through that experience again, reliving it with the truth. And we see ourselves feeling okay, feeling our self-worth, feeling happy, feeling safe in that same situation. We don't change the situation. We change our experience of the situation. So what we're doing is we're actually changing our programming because there is no past. The only thing there is our interpretation of the past. And we're going back and reinterpreting the past, realizing that even though other people were not able to treat us with love and respect, we certainly deserved it. And maybe also remembering that we chose this as a growth process so that we feel this light within ourselves, this peace, this love for ourselves, this love for the others in that past negative experience, and we reprogram ourselves through this regression. Another possibility is to express our inner self-esteem and self-confidence as art or dance, or in any way that we can manifest that and experience it more uh, as a body experience, as an emotional experience, and not so much simply as an intellectual perception. And finally, we can start behaving as if we already believe and experience that we are always worthy of love and acceptance. This is called behavioral therapy. We behave as we would if this belief was already deeply installed within ourselves. And by behaving in this way, doing what we would do if our self-esteem was increased, and ceasing to do what we would not do anymore if we did not need approval or acceptance from other people, we're not attached to certain situations such as our appearance, the things that we would not do, and by behaving in that way, our mind is altered. So the behavior, in this case, changed the perceptions. Okay, so you can find most of this information in my books, Love is the Choice, which you can get as a PDF file on our site, or The Psychology of Happiness at Amazon. I've got 8 books on Amazon. You can come to our site, which has much information. Most of it's free, articles, MP3 files, a lot of YouTube. There are about 300 videos on YouTube. You may be interested in our life coach training program, which it's I don't know if you might be able to start now if you really want to get into it, but otherwise next October. And you can learn a lot about various forms of energy psychology at our site at holisticharmony.com/seminars. So let's move on now. These are the books that I have on Amazon: Universal Philosophy, Art of Meditation, Contemporary Parables. You can also get them from our site. Mystical Circle of Life, about what happens after death. Remove Pain, or what is free to be happy actually, with energy psychology. Saram is a novel about the soul in the process of incarnation. The Psychology of Happiness, and The Adventures of Petro. These are all in hard book form. The rest of them are available as PDF files and eventually will become available as books. So let's go back to you and see if you have any questions and that I can address at this point. So let's see at the top. Is our consciousness also an illusion? My perception is that consciousness is the